Hi, friends. Hope you're doing well. So, today I wanted to talk about a um, another metaphor, or maybe I should call it a meditation, or maybe even more accurately, it would be a type of mindfulness. And man, the word mindfulness is used often in our society, isn't it? It's kind of the buzzword that the experimental or scientific community has taken to describe meditation. But I guess it's somewhat complex, but in the Buddha Dharma, the Buddha recommends some foundations for mindfulness. I think it's the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And that's really helpful. Maybe I'll talk more about that. But like one of the foundations of mindfulness is the body, for instance. But when I say a mindfulness, what I want to talk about today, when I say mindfulness, I mean it in that specific way. It's something that we bear in mind throughout the day. And I'll give you a simple example that I think most people are used to. Like, one type of mindfulness is like a confidence check. Like, when I was younger, I used to be really forgetful about physical objects. I think maybe because I was constantly thinking about things, I had less attention to focus on physical objects. And so I would lose my wallet or keys very often. And so to combat this natural tendency towards losing things, or maybe the learned tendency of spending too much of my energy in the thinking domain, I decided that I would always make sure I was carrying 3 things, and that just happens to be cell phone, keys, and my wallet. And a lot of times I have my cell phone like in a bag or something like that, because I don't often like to have it on my body. But in developing this habit of checking for those 3 things, I became a lot more likely to not lose my phone, wallet, or find it immediately. And of course, the way I would know that I had those 3 things was just by taking my hands and touching my pockets. And so that's what I mean by like a confidence check. You're like, oh, is it still there? Oh, yep, it's there. Okay, I have those 3 things. So that's a type of mindfulness that I'm talking about. When we say mindful, the English term that's most helpful to me is to bear in mind, like, oh, to keep something in the forefront of your mind. That's the type of mindfulness we're talking about. So one type of mindfulness that's recommended, of course, is that first foundation I talked about a second ago, the mindfulness of the body. So we spend a lot of our time, and honestly waste a lot of our time, just in mental rumination or thinking about things that don't matter. Man, we've wasted a lot of time doing that, haven't we? But mindfulness can be bringing that diffuse attention. It's almost as if it's diffused into the environment, and bringing that attention back into the body, feeling the sensations in the body, being aware of where our hands are, where our feet are, what sensations are happening. That's a type of that's like a common type of mindfulness. Can be very helpful, of course. You know, you can easily transition from that mindfulness of the body, bearing the body in mind, to having awareness of the breath. That can be of really great help, calming, etc., etc. But today, this sort of metaphor, mindfulness maneuver, I guess you could say, that I like to do with myself, and that I've trained to do with myself, I call coming home. And my recommendation to myself and to everyone else is throughout the day to come home, to come back home, and do it over and over and over again. And I like the phrase, I like the vagueness of the phrase because it can apply in so many instances. And I think the easiest and most obvious example is just what I said earlier. Like, you're thinking about something, your attention is diffused into the environment, and coming home could be bringing that attention back to the center of yourself in terms of your body. But this also means something a little bit deeper that I've been exploring for a couple of years and is difficult to talk about. But the phrase coming home or come home, suggestion to come home, telling yourself, reminding yourself to come back home, will get you there. Kind of teach you what I'm talking about. And you probably have some sense of what I'm talking about already. So one of the ways that I like to think about it is reflecting yourself back into the center of being. See, it's almost impossible to talk about these things, right? You can come home in a mental sense. You can also come home in a sort of visual sense where your attention is out in the objects that you're viewing, and then coming home is allowing the attention, the visual attention, to come back into what is present in the moment. And even there's a sense and there's a lot of meditators who've talked about this. There's even a sense of turning the eyes around, of looking inside the body as opposed to from the surface of the eyes outside. And I say there's a sense to that, and there's a sense of that, I should say. That's also what I mean about coming home. There's also an energetic sense to this. And I guess because of my belief, I keep using the word attention because in my view, attention is so foundational and such a useful, accurate way of describing what I'm talking about. But energetically, what I mean is that we often have this sense that we're like moving through the world or projecting our will into the world, projecting our energy into existence. And often we'll do that reflexively or not really realize we're doing it. And coming home in that sense means bringing the energy back into the self, back into the present moment. Anyway, so if you try this out, let me know if it works for you or if you know what I'm talking about. If you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But I'll give one more example, something similar, hopefully to illustrate the point a little bit. One of my teachers used to call a similar thing putting the 0 before the 1. So he would recommend that before leaving your house, for instance, you'll take a moment to put the 0 before the 1. Basically, enter into a state of balance and wholeness before you then continue the process. Before 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, etc. Right, depending upon your view. Or I often do this when I'm leaving my car, for instance. In those transitional moments, take one moment and get to that 0 point before then continuing whatever action I had planned. That's a type of coming home too. But let me know if this is helpful for you. If you, again, know what I'm talking about. But I could probably remind myself to come home hundreds of times every day, and every time will be very beneficial. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.